Welcome to another magical story from Dr. Anna. Today I want to tell you the story that I wrote in my book, The Liberation Diet, an aging factor, diet and the pressure of unexpressed emotions. I am in the spiritual path and I know that the number one rule says that equal attracts equal, which means one must always take responsibility for one's thoughts, feelings, emotions, words, and actions. So in the spiritual way, situations become opportunities to look at a fear or an unexpressed emotion in a way that we are going to transmute alchemically, energetically, from a low-level vibration to a higher-level vibration, a fear into a more open-minded or liberating thought, way of thinking, pattern, behavior, belief. So normally what I do is when I meditate or I am in the garden or in nature or relaxed or simply just gazing at the sky, it's very likely I get a download. I feel it like a download. It's like a feeling of energy with an idea or a piece of information. Sometimes it can be intense, sometimes it can be calming. Sometimes it feels like my thoughts stop and they open up and suddenly there is an instruction that I must follow. It normally accompanies a shift, like a burnt feeling of energy in a chakra. It could be at the front chakras or the back chakras. The front chakra is something that I'm already ready to accept. The back chakras is something that I wasn't quite aware of because they are like the shadow chakras, I can call them. But in either way, whenever this happens, it's like something is being transmuted. And then I can even see an animal, a totem, or see a physical totem, or have a dream with a totem. Something manifests at a different level so that I can actually see one and one come together, makes two, and I see the pattern, I see the idea, I can write it down. It comes in different levels. First the feeling, then the thought, then it could be an experience, a physical manifestation. Somebody calls me, somebody offers me something, an email. When the downloads are very heavy, which for instance, when I do an intense meditation, then it's like a very deeply established pattern that needs to be shifted. And then I need a lot of energy for that. So normally I am either very calm physically, very even exhausted, like I can't move because there is a lot of work being done in the inner bodies. And sometimes it's not very pleasant, but I always stay with it. Because when I stay with it and I allow it to pass and express the emotions that shifts, express the emotions that come up with it, then at least I become aware of it and I know that it can go and I can move forward and don't keep going the same thing all the time. So it can come in the form of a lesson, a realization, raised awareness, more clarity, changing my eating habits, changing my attitude or beliefs, a raised perspective over the subject. It's like a block is dissolved, a way forward is shown. It's just like always, it's just so wonderful. At the beginning it was scary, but when you get used to it, it's great because you know that you keep moving forward into a better place. But before I can transmute the energy, I have to feel the feeling hidden within the challenge or the block. So the emotion is the energy in the motion that is holding dynamically the old pattern in place. I've got to face the pain or the acceptance or the underlying limitation or the hidden belief system. I've got to let go of the old commitment, the reason why I was holding on to the pattern, the belief that was saying, I must do that because, and now I have to identify it so that I can talk to my personality or ego and say, enough of that, you are limiting me, I can't breathe. And then I make a space for a new level of surrender. So when you stay with a feeling, sometimes it can be 5 minutes, sometimes it can be half an hour, sometimes it can be a week until you balance it. Sometimes you want to cry, which is great because it's a release of emotion. It's like tears cleanse your soul at that point. It's that nice release. And that disallowing part of me that I couldn't face before, it now can be showered light onto or assimilated into my consciousness, can be integrated within my psyche, and then my whole mind-body energy system shifts. And I reach a level of higher integrity, which means more composed, more contained, fewer leaks of energy, fewer dispersed energies. And with this new integration comes more inner strength, more faith, more joy, a better stance towards life, higher self-esteem or self-regard. So all in all the higher vibrations move away from a struggle of survival into joy, harmony, and fulfillment. You will find that it's always like this. So the reflected changes in my life start coming like new partnerships, new friendships, new opportunities. Sometimes you have to let go of people, things. I clear the wardrobes or the cupboards, I clear the garage. I stop buying something and start buying something new, like creams or supplements or something, because everything in your life reflects you. So it normally also reflects in healthier life choices, new and better eating patterns, or a better exercise routine, or more simplified, or less efforting, fewer minutes, less hectic. You grow older gracefully like this. Sometimes it's also reflected as a letting go of an addiction. I'm not talking about drugs or drinking. Sometimes it can be that as well. But I'm talking about smaller, but maybe sometimes damaging addictions like food, sugar, things that are not compatible with our bodies, substances. Oh, no. This is the process. And sometimes it can take a week, sometimes it can take a day, sometimes it can take 3 months, or sometimes it can take years, like I've done it in the past. Some cycles are bigger, some cycles are smaller. You can get little cycles within a week or a month, and then you see them all together and they're all shifting like a bigger cycle in your life. So when the smaller lessons come, eventually they run parallel with bigger lessons. So smaller lessons, big cycle. And that's why I keep my spiritual diaries. I have to keep track of everything. It's just so much, I will get lost in it. And then how can I explain it to anybody else if I don't understand it myself? When I finish the diary, I go to the beginning and I go through it and I start pinpointing, they say is the benefit of the hindsight. But then it starts making more sense. And I am able to accept life as it comes, because I know that life will unravel the lessons to me when the time is right, if I give myself the time. And the cycle is over, and you can always feel a click. And like a door opens and you pass through the door and you are at a new place. And you look around in your third eye, in your physical eye, and you say, I feel different. It's like refreshing. This has just happened to me now. Today is the 29th of September 2020, 2992020. What about that? For this work, you need your staying power. You need your backbone. You need to stay centered. You need to withstand it. You need to be able to flow with it, but at the same time to hold on to it and release it. It takes patience. It takes endurance. It takes resolution, determination, and a lot of self-love. Because sometimes if the lesson is very strong, then you may not be able to do it all in one time. So you do it in smaller chunks. And when the download comes, and I know that the end of the cycle is at hand, I then take stock of the whole learning experience, I shift to the new level, and I write a little article, a little book, a workshop, something. Because I just find that I can put the whole energetic episode at peace if I can write it. I'm a scriber. I have to put everything in writing because it is a record. Whale, totem, is a record. I'm a record keeper. And then I can explain it to people. Now, why do we fear these downloads? They are natural. They happen whether you like it or not. They happen whether we realize it or not. Why do we resist them if we know it's good for us? So I've been working with the second chakra for quite a while. When I wrote this article about 2009, for a year then, and the second chakra is related to the sweetness of life, experience joy, is the center of emotion where all the fears are lodged. In the back, in the kidneys, is crystallized ancestral fears, generational fears, fears that not even yours, that you picked up from your family, who picked them up from their family. And so that's why the Native Americans said, when we work on a fear and release it, we heal 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. So this work is really important because you free your children from having to go through what you are going through. And then they are free to follow their calling and their path. They can be more clear on who they are and what they want to achieve. So even if this is all the work we do, it's a fantastic, incredible work for ourselves and the earth and the next generations. So when these emotions are lodged and frozen in time, when you had an experience, traumatic, big or small, it doesn't have to be really intense trauma, any trauma, a message that goes against your self-worth, against your self-love, then it stays in the center and remains exactly as it was at the age when it was registered, until it is revisited, relieved, released, shifted, transmuted, and healed. And because the second chakra is also the center of self-esteem, is the assimilation of food and digestion. So some of its metaphysical qualities are change, movement, health, family, tolerance, absorption of new ideas. Some of its qualities, when it's out of balance, are overindulgence in food or sex, confusion, purposelessness, jealousy or envy, desire to possess. And since the second chakra is located at the navel, which was once the umbilical cord or attachment to our first physical home or mother and the nurturing she provided, then we can easily see how our food habits have so much to do with nurturing and emotional levels than just the physical food that we are eating. So we can see how food and nurturing can get confused, and when we really do sometimes healing, we eat instead, hoping to fill a void created by the lack of integration of those memories, energies or emotions, trying to control it, contain them, not understanding why this void doesn't get filled, and being pulled powerlessly to eating the wrong foods or overeating. What our body is doing is matching the vibration of this powerful center, because equal attracts equal. And until we can shift its frequency, we will be attracted hopelessly to the same food stuff and in the same quantities. So all this saying, if you change your diet, you change your life. Why not change the way we deal with our emotions, and then the diet will change by itself? I find it much easier. Yes, it's work that maybe is etheric, so it may not be easy to touch, like if I change my diet or I change some food item or I reduce the things I eat. That feels physical, I can control it. But that's not going to be permanent because it's not addressing the bottom line. But if we do this emotional work, energetic work, then we are addressing the bottom line, and then it's easier that the external circumstances will change. Normally, in the case of this kind of overeating, we feel guilty because we don't seem to be able to stop. And we perceive it as wrong. So now we feel guilty, which is a negative emotion, and we are judging it as bad. So that's a second negative emotion. And we get locked in a vicious circle of further lowering or already low vibration by a self-judgment and self-blame, which in turn continues to draw us to those foodstuffs that we're trying to avoid in the first place. And we keep being drawn to eat comfort food that makes us maybe feel chemically good for a short while, for instance, chocolate or sugar, cakes, fatty food, knowing well in advance that the results are going to be further damage to our already weakened level of self-love. And since emotions are locked in this second chakra for all time, this is the reason why we can feel a past experience that we had, let's say at the age of 5, as if we were 5 at the age of 55, or at the present age. And we can see how someone who may not even be present in our life, can still have power over us, because we are trapped in that moment when we gave our power away. And we may not have done it on purpose, but it is just not in the mind, it's real to us. So to our body, to our soul, is real, and it needs to be dealt with before it can be released. In a book that I found, Acupressure for the Soul, Biological Spirituality and the Gifts of the Emotions by Nancy Fallon, PhD, it says that an intellectually inserted belief about changing the pains of the past doesn't work. We cannot change an emotion with our mind. Most diseases affect the heart, blood and blood vessels. It's in the heart energy where intellect and emotions meet and intermix. Not until a change occurs in the second energy center, simultaneously with a belief change, can true powers of the emotions be awakened. When there is physical vibration in the second energy center, such as crying, like I said before, certain breathing techniques, and gut level gelling can bring about, then there is a cellular memory opening and reprogramming can take place. Accidents represent the conflicting beliefs literally clashing into each other. The physical result is that our bodies fall or crash into other physical objects. It is a way our body consciousness tries to wake us up to ourselves. A safer but a physical way to wake up is via the mind-body techniques, which is what I was saying. All my beliefs about diet, body, I contained into my book, The Liberation Diet, a system for rejuvenation, body reshaping, and re-energizing. This wasn't just a compilation of thoughts. It was a research of real life case study, my life case study. I wanted to prove once and for all that your JoJo dieting doesn't work, that if we work with our psyche, we are more likely to find balanced eating patterns and habits than if we expect some external factor to do it for us. So I believe that we must take responsibility for our growth. Our physical body is just one part of this reality. Fear is our clue that we need to look more closely, because when we deal with the fear, door opens up and everything that we were trying to resolve, not longer being a problem, now becomes a solution for us. Now, do you agree with me? Is this a good way to deal with our problems and move forward in life? I leave it to you. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in another episode of Magical Stories of Dr. Anna.